Hello, lovelies. How are you doing? Me? I'm in lockdown again. If you're not familiar, I'm in Ontario, Canada, where we have a color system. Gray is lockdown, and then it goes red, orange, yellow, green. I don't remember what green looks like. It's been that long. And I've heard that other countries are banding together and having like a countrywide, everybody does the same thing, and there are steps that everybody follows to, get through this. Not us. I have no idea what the rest of Canada is even doing. All I know is that in Ontario, each region, which is determined by the county, has its own color, which is all decided by the government, but it's just, as one area goes red, they travel to areas that are orange and yellow, which causes the orange and yellow areas to change colors in response, and we're not working together. It's a free-for-all. Just in my neck of the woods alone, we went into lockdown after Christmas on Boxing Day for like a month, and then came out of that, went to red, then I think we were in orange for like a week, then back to red, and I think we were in orange again for a couple days, and then back to red, and now we're in gray again. Everybody is a bit different as to when exactly quarantine started and when exactly, everything fell apart. And for us, last year, I sort of waited to count quarantine until after March break, because we don't travel anywhere for March break anyway. We never have. It's always too busy to go anywhere, so we just stay home. So for us to stay home over March break, it was no big deal. So for that reason, quarantine didn't start for us officially until the Saturday after March break. So for us, the 1 year mark will be this weekend. However, that being said, since we got word that things were heading south just before and over the March break, and we never really came out of it, this whole year has felt like March break. And it's really surreal. It's really surreal to be back in that same situation a year later and like nothing has changed. Oh, except that we don't actually have March break. Yeah, March break here was canceled. Well, postponed. We might have March break in April, assuming that doesn't get canceled again. I never had a huge amount of faith in the Canadian government on a good day. This pandemic has done nothing to help that. So, we'll see. But if there's anything that this year has taught me, you can't plan anything. You just gotta go for the ride. And sometimes I can do that, and sometimes I can't. This week I'm struggling. Once again, I planned on getting this video up tomorrow, and hopefully I still can, but I don't know. Because this weekend was daylight savings time, hence the copious amounts of coffee. Oh, I don't like daylight savings. I don't know how people can lose that hour of sleep and, function as normal. It takes me 2 weeks to recover and adjust. So with all that being said, I really wanted to come on here today, and not today, earlier in the week, but I really wanted to come on here and talk about escapism. And relating to the characters and the things that we escape to. I tried filming that like 5 different times. I don't like how it was going. So we're going to change gears. And I'm going to give you a tour. Not of the studio yet. I'm not quite there. There's a couple things that I want to get done. And I'm using the filming of the studio tour as like my, it's not really a deadline, but like my motivation to get those things done. So I'm not going to be touring this yet. But I thought we'd take a little tour of my miniatures. I've made a couple since the video that I posted on here about my miniatures. And they're pretty much all done at this point. I haven't got any new ones yet. Although that probably will happen. Because building miniatures, for me anyway, it's a great form of escape. I can create these tiny little worlds that I control. If, you know, I get to choose the wall colors, the furniture colors, where things are placed in the rooms. I have a little doll that I customized, and again, I could control what she looked like. And I can pose her and put her, you know, however I want in the rooms. And it makes me feel like things aren't quite spiraling out of my control as wildly. And also, all the tiny little fiddly putting things together is really great for my focus, to like keep me in the moment in what I'm doing. So I've been finding miniatures to be a very effective coping for myself during this time. Although that also goes back to my childhood. I used to play with and decorate and you know, build little miniatures when I was a kid as well. And for the same reasons. It was a way for me to control something when the rest of my world was completely not in my control. So yeah, I thought I'd just give you a little tour, show you what I've made, talk a little bit about it. That's the plan for today. So let's jump over to the other table. This is the first room that I completed, and I built this back in 2019, so pre-dumpster fire. But I have been adding to it, and I still play around with it, arrange the things in it, and set up the doll, and you know, take pictures and stuff. So this has still been helpful. This is what the room was meant to look like. It was a kit, and it had basically everything it needed. So all the fabric and paper and wood and all the materials. It was meant to be a Christmas room. And clearly, I went off on my own tangent. I couldn't decide if I wanted it to be a Christmas room or a Halloween room, so I just kind of mushed the two together and made it a spoopy, festive room. There are some similarities, though. I did keep the garland around the top. I just painted it black, so it was a little bit spoopier. And I kept the Christmas tree. Changed up some of the decorations, though. I just basically put a garland and some beads for bubbles. And I painted this was a bead, a star-shaped bead that I just painted and added on top. Well, all the furniture is the same. The fireplace is where it's meant to be, and the table's where it's meant to be, and the couch is where it's meant to be. Obviously, I changed things. I put my own fabric on top of the table to make it look like purple marble. I used this rock patterned fabric for the fireplace instead of the red brick that it was intended to have in the kit. I used a scrap of this curtain panel, so this like gray suede fabric for the couch. Made my own cushions and added a blanket. And then I went completely off the rails with some things. Instead of the Christmas wreath, I added a lamp on the wall above the fireplace. I added a fireplace grate, and I just made that out of a silver metal that I painted black and then glued that in place. I just liked the look of the fireplace grate instead of the open fireplace. And then I added some spooky decorations like the witch's broom, the clay, pumpkins. I made a beanbag chair out of a scrap of black, I don't know if this is velvet or velour, I'm not sure the difference, but it's a nice soft fabric, and I stuffed it with, I think it was like artificial snow, with little plastic beads. I got the little plate of cookies from Michael's, as well as the little skunk, because I just felt like a little pet was needed in this room, and since this was my fantasy room that I could make look however I wanted, I figured why not have a skunk for a pet, because that would just be awesome. On this wall, instead of having a clock and some little pictures, I made a big picture out of a little piece of art that I created at a creativity awakening workshop day. And I used stir sticks, stained and cut, mitered and everything to look like a nice little frame. The window is the same, except instead of, originally there was a picture of Santa flying through like a starry night or a snowy day, I can't remember which. Clearly I went with a spooky looking sunset instead, and I added a piece of plastic packaging so that it would look like a pane of glass. So there's that like shininess to it. And just like the photo shows, this kit is supposed to light up. There are lights in both of the wall lamps, the candle, the Christmas tree, and the fireplace. And there's a little light box. But unfortunately, the wires were too short. So I'm going to have to figure out how to rewire the room before I can get the lights to work again, because as it stands right now, nothing happens. This is the second room that I made that also came in a kit. Like the living room before it, this bedroom came with everything included to make this, as seen in the picture. So it had all the fabrics and the wood bits, the beads, the paper, everything was included for that. Of course, I obviously went ahead and deviated just a little. But that's what I like about miniatures, is that ability to control and make what I want. So I went ahead and used my own fabric for the floor and the walls. All of the furniture is basically as it was intended. I made a few little changes, changed up the color of the nightstand and the shelf. The shelf was meant to be white. The nightstand was a lighter color, but I painted them to be the same color. I only put 2 of the 3 shelves on the shelf unit because 3 shelves would have made it too small. This way I can fit what I want on the shelves, and what I wanted was a complete set of Harry Potter novels, as well as a few Sailor Moon manga. And then to go along with the sort of witchy wizarding school vibes, I went with some potion bottles made out of beads. I made a couple other small books to look like little journals, and then threw up some tiny little pieces of beach glass for like crystals. The desk is pretty much exactly as it was intended. The only change I made was to change out the fabric for the chair, and I added a little bit more cushion so the chair, just looks more comfortable. And I added my own green beads to both the desk and nightstand. For the drawer pulls, I just liked my green beads better than the ones that came with the kit. The bed is pretty much exactly as intended. I changed up the bedding, of course, because I liked that better. I had some scrap, this little flannel, It's really nice fabric, but it was too tiny. There was nothing I could do with it. So when I had the opportunity to put it in this miniature room, I thought, yes, now I can save it and use it and love it. And then for the bedspread, I got a picture of this print inspired by Sailor Moon. Printed that on transfer paper, on like an iron-on transfer, and then ironed it on a scrap of t-shirt fabric to make the bedspread. The window is basically exactly as intended. I just didn't put the shutters up. If I had to put the shutters, I couldn't fit a doll on the bed, so no shutters. There was supposed to be a lamp here, so that stayed the same, except that I put my own paper for the shade and my own beads. There was supposed to be a lamp on the nightstand, but I went ahead and changed it up. I used my own pearl beads, and the shade was meant to be covered with like lace and had this little topper. I didn't like that, so I just painted the inside with nail polish. It's simpler, but it fits with the room better, so I like that. And then I made some posters out of stickers. I posed a couple capsule chicks in front of a calendar page. Took a picture, printed it off on my computer printer, because I wanted it to have that like photograph feel to it. This kit also came with a battery pack and actually lights up. I'm not surprised though, because this one only has 2 points for light. It's so pretty. Oh, I wanted to quickly mention too, I got both of these kits off Amazon. So if that's something you're interested in and you want to look, not sponsored or anything, you can still find these exact kits as well as a whole bunch of others. However, if you, like me, don't necessarily love Amazon, you can also find kits like these on other sites. Just Google miniature dollhouse kit, and there may even be like a local miniature shop that you can support and get your kits through them instead. So just in case you're interested. This is the dollhouse room I am most proud of. After I finished with the bedroom kit, I decided I wanted a bathroom and a kitchen, so I could have like a complete dollhouse apartment, or like mini house with 4 rooms. I still haven't found a kitchen that I like, though kitchen kits do exist. Bathrooms, on the other hand, if they exist, I haven't seen them yet. So I had to take matters into my own hands and create my own, which I am incredibly proud of, because this kit was made using a pattern book that my mother-in-law gave me for a plastic canvas Barbie bathroom. So this was intended for a Barbie doll. And just to give you an idea, this is my Barbie-sized doll, and she towers over the bathroom, even sitting down. So I took the pattern and basically scaled it down to create the room I wanted. So it would be the same size as the living room and bedroom kits. It wasn't terribly difficult, thankfully. Plastic canvas is basically a grid. So it's fairly easy, at least with like your basic rectangle, square shapes. It's not too hard to scale up or down. The rounded shapes, those were tricky. As you can tell with my rather janky bathtub, I struggled with that one. The instructions weren't that clear. It's not the prettiest, but it fits. The little doll that I wanted to fit in there, she fits nicely, and it fits within the room, and it's kind of hidden in the corner, so it doesn't need to be perfect. But it's still really cute. I do like it. And you can see at the bottom down there, is a little drain even. I created this basically using the exact patterns. There was the tub, the sink, the toilet, the shelves, the wall sconces, the mirror, the little rug even. I did deviate a little bit. I added this little, like a towel rack kind of thing. It's also a brace, so I made this little towel rack to help hold up the wall, as well as a place to put this little towel that I knitted. Looks lovely. For the mirror, I'm so thankful I was able to find this mirrored cardboard. So I get that mirror effect you can actually see in it, which I think is pretty cool. The toilet I am rather proud of, especially after the trouble I had trying to make the bathtub. The seat actually opens. I also invented a little candle, made a little plastic canvas candle. I just felt like the shelf needed a little something else. And the other thing I'm super proud of in this room is my little roll of toilet paper. This wasn't part of the original kit. It didn't have a toilet paper in the pattern book. But especially after last year and all that ridiculous toilet paper hoarding, I knew that this bathroom needed a little plastic canvas roll of toilet paper. So I made that, and I'm really proud of it. And all these little accessories, with a bottle of soap, bath bombs, a shampoo bar, a pot of lotion, and a bar of soap. These are all little charms that are based on Lush products. I got them from a seller on Etsy. I don't even remember how long ago. They were all charms. And they used to be worn on a watch. But after my little Snow Fairy soap bottle here lost its top and the watch stopped working, I decided I don't want to wear them anymore. One of them had already broken. The label on this little pot is looking janky. So I decided, you know what? I want to keep these. They would make perfect little accessories for this dollhouse room. Oh, and I also have this little bag of fluff. This came with one of my kits. I can't remember what I was supposed to use it for, but it was stuffing for something. But I keep it because I can use it for a bubble bath. Yeah, I really like this room. It's my favorite room. The next miniature I made, you may recognize. I have a whole video where I explained how I made bits and pieces of this and gave a full tour. I will link that above and below in the description, so you can go and check that out if you're interested. I made this house. Again, this is another, I spent way too long on it, but I don't regret it because it was crafted during the pandemic and it kept me sane. So, totally worth it. It is inspired by the world's smallest Barbie dream house. And I used printables that I got off my Froggy Stuff's blog site. And then went to town with the details. And I used a lot of craft sticks, popsicle sticks, toothpicks, stir sticks to make all the wooden furniture, as well as like felt, foam, fabric. This one is kind of little shoppies size. And as you can see, I've got two little shoppies. I like to pose them in this house and I move them around from room to room. Sometimes they have breakfast, sometimes they watch TV. Right now they're both sleeping. So I'll quickly run through the rooms in this house and a little bit of what I'm particularly proud of, but I won't go into too much detail. Like I said, there's already a video about this house. So starting down here in the bottom corner, this is like the media room. And a lot of the things that I used in this house as well were found objects, materials that could have been thrown out or recycled. Like the curtain back here is a little scrap from my witch robe that I made. In this middle room here, this is like the living room. There's a little glass top table, and once again the glass is actually plastic packaging. And then down here in this corner is the kitchen. Something I like about this one is that window right there between the cupboards is upside down. I accidentally put it in upside down. But after I had everything glued in, including the curtain up here, which was made with stiffened fabric. Yeah, I wasn't going to take that down and play around with it again, so I just left it. It's just a cute little Easter egg. And if you happen to notice that it's upside down, you win! And then moving upstairs, I decided to keep the bedroom like one big room. There could have been 2 walls, but instead of putting a wall here, I put a screen to divide the big space. And over here we've got a little art nook, a little easel and comfy chair and a whole bunch of art supplies. And then in the very center is the bedroom, and I've left the bed removable so I can switch out the shoppies as I want to, and it's just a little bit easier. And for the roof, before I get to the last room, on this half of the roof, it's left open, and I sandwiched the roof together. I plasticated the whole thing with tape, so it has that like plasticky Barbie doll dream house kind of look, but it's also protected. And on the roof here, I used the plastic to make it look like glass, so there's like a glass roof with a lot of natural light for the art studio, which I thought was pretty cool. But then on this side, in between the cardboard layers, I sandwiched some tissue paper. But I thought that was kind of pretty, and then smushed between the layers of tape. I thought it gave like a stained glass kind of look. So there's a little bit of privacy in the bedroom, and a lot of privacy for the bathroom. Not that it matters with a dollhouse, but I like it when it looks kind of realistic. Like I can imagine myself living here. And as mentioned, this last room is in fact the bathroom. The sink didn't turn out the way I wanted it to. It looks a little janky, but that's okay. The toilet is rather awesome. I'm very proud of that. It's completely made out of paper that was laminated with tape and a teeny tiny little bead for the flusher. This is a tight space. You can't really set dolls up in here, so this is completely unnecessary, but the toilet seat even lifts. And once again, because this was made during the unbelievable time of toilet paper hoarding, there is a little roll of toilet paper, and it is made with a tiny little strip of actual toilet paper. I thought that was a particularly nice touch. Now, in this miniature house tour, what am I doing showing you a box of chocolates? That's because this isn't just any old box of chocolates. It's a dollhouse. I never had a Polly Pocket myself, but I always liked Polly Pocket. I always liked the idea of a playset where you could just store everything together and it's right there. And then when you're done, you just pack everything up close it up, and it's, you know, easy to store, easy to play with. I wanted to make my own, so I did. I divided the little box into 4. I didn't have room for everything, but it doesn't necessarily need everything. Part of the reason why I wanted to make this as well is because the old Barbie dream house that I just showed you, it was a little too big. Like in some areas it was perfect, and in other areas it was too big. When you set these girls up in the kitchen, they look like little kids in the house, which isn't quite what I wanted. I wanted them to look like, you know, the house could be theirs. So I scaled all of this down with the shoppies in mind, particularly the kitchen, where it looks like she could reasonably reach the stovetop or the sink. In the other house, it was a little too big. So I like this one better. As I mentioned, down here in the bottom corner is the kitchen. On the other side is the living room. And again, these are very nicely shoppy sized. I also put in a spiral staircase. It's more for show than anything. You can't really fit any of the dolls in there, it's too tight. But I always wanted a spiral staircase when I was a kid. A girl that I knew growing up had one, and I thought it was really cool, so I thought, I'm going to put one in this house. And then at the top of the spiral staircase is the bathroom with a little sink and a mirror. I love the bathtub. I was thinking of putting a toilet in here, but since I had already done 2 toilets, I thought, you know what, I'm going to put in a shower. I want to know if I can do that. So I used a paper clip as the shower rod, and the curtain is tissue paper with copious amounts of Mod Podge to give it that plasticky look. I could actually open and close it. It does. Does it move still? Nope. It used to move, but it looks like it's glued itself in place. That's okay. I think it looks pretty cool as it is. And then the last room is the bedroom, and even a tiny little book on the end of the bed. And just like the other rooms on the main floor, the little shoppy fits quite beautifully in bed and in the shower. And the best part is, when I'm all done with this, I just put the lid on. It's completely protected from dust, stays nice and safe, and it's ready for next time. And similarly to the chocolate box, my last little miniature to show off started life as a jewelry box in this case. Which you open up and ta-da! A little tiny Christmas room. This whole project was inspired by that teeny tiny tree. I bought a little package of those pipe cleaner trees from the Dollar Tree to make a snow globe, and I had some left over, and I decided I want to put it in a room. But I didn't want to put it in any of the existing rooms or houses I already had. And then I saw this box, and I thought this would make a super cute little A-framed kind of cottage. Kept the tree decorating very simple. I strung some gold beads to make a garland, and then just glued on some little red beads for bubbles. The little star here I made with hot glue, because I didn't have any other star-shaped beads that were small enough to top the tree. The table here was the base of the tree that I unscrewed, and all I did for the table was just flipped it over so that you couldn't see the little hole where the tree had been, and then just glued it down. I liked the gold color the way it was. And the couch, the adorable little couch over here, was made using the velvet lining from the jewelry box. So it looks bougie, but it's actually made out of trash. The fireplace, which I am extremely proud of, is made out of stir sticks and craft popsicle sticks that I painted to give a stone look. Decorated with a pipe cleaner and bead wreath and garland. Used some more of that plastic packaging for the fireplace grate. And I made this one, I can't remember if it was in January or February. I wasn't ready to give up Christmas yet. But I think this is pretty cool, because now I have a little Christmas room. Anytime I need a little festive hit, I can just open this up and gaze at it. And it's so pretty. And just like with the chocolate box, when I'm done, I pop on the lid. It's protected from dust. So that is my miniature collection at this point in time. There's a good chance it's going to expand. I normally store them on that shelf right there behind me. I haven't put them away yet though. And that shelf right there is full at the moment. I don't see that stopping me from making more miniatures though. It's a good form of escape. Makes me feel like I'm being productive, accomplishing something, keeping me from spiraling when things get rough. And gives me a sense of feeling like something is in my control. So if you're looking for something to help you cope with how life is going, maybe consider miniatures. Some of the ones that I've shown, you know, you can buy a little kit that has everything there, but if you can't afford a kit or you don't want to get one of those, then just find some stuff around the house. Like my little miniature in a jewelry box. I didn't buy any of the things that went in there. Well, I didn't buy any of the things that went in there for the purpose of that. I already had the stuff available. So thank you for indulging me and letting me talk about something that I'm passionate about. What have you been using to escape from the dumpster fire? What have you been using to help calm the stress, keep you focused, make you feel like you're doing something? Comment below. Let me know. I'd like to know. Do you make miniatures? Do you take photos? Do you create art of some kind? Let me know. If it's something that I haven't done before, that could be something to dabble in at a later date. I hope you stay safe and sane and fabulous as always. And I will see you in the next video. Until then, take care. Bye.